Welcome to your weekly news report. You know me, I'm B Dub. Got a lot to get to today, so I definitely want to get started. I'm going to kick things off with streaming services. Looks like Netflix has increased their prices. This is going to be the second time in 2 years. So to go over the pricing, we got $8.99 a month for the standard Netflix, and that's with ads. That's up $1. You got $19.99 for the standard ad free. That's up $2. You got $29.99 for the premium. That gets you 4K, and that's up $2. So with me, just want to be mindful of that. I do get a discount with my cell phone carrier. So T-Mobile takes like $8 off of my. I have the family plan or the standard plan, and it is what it is. You know, Netflix is one of those ones where I think they got a pretty good lock on their customer base. Most people just kind of set it and forget it. But hopefully these prices won't keep. Well, it's going to continue to decline, but we'll just see how much the consumers are willing to endure. With that being said, we're talking streaming services. YouTube Premium, it hurts my heart. I'm a YouTube Premium subscriber, and they also up their charge. We got YouTube Premium. The individual plan now is $15.99. That's up $2 from $13.99. You got your family plan, which I use. It's $26.99 now, and that's up from $22.99. So that's going to be a $2 increase. Even the student plan used to cost $7.99. That's going to cost you $8.99. And YouTube Premium Lite, I don't really have that one or deal with that one, but that one's $8.99 if I'm not mistaken. So YouTube Premium, this is their first price hike that I'm aware of. I do like YouTube Premium. I find it a great value. You know, even with the family plan, I want to say you get up to 5 or 6 users. Might be 6. But don't quote me on the many users, but I know it's at least 5. So my whole family can get, you know, benefits with that. I do like how they have the YouTube music. So for me, it was a good value in that. It hurts my heart though. I hope YouTube Premium stays where they're at. It was a great value at $26.99 for the family plan. I'm going to keep it for now, but I hope they stay put for another 3 or 4 years. That would be fantastic. YouTube Premium. With that being said, to carry on the theme of streaming service, ESPN, they have acquired NFL Network and NFL Red Zone. So now you can get that included in the package. I do the Hulu, ESPN Unlimited, and the Disney Plus. That costs me $35.99 a month. If you get with the addition of the NFL Red Zone and the network and NFL Plus, so they're calling that NFL Premium, that's going to start off at $45.99 with said bundle, which includes Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN, and then they're adding on NFL Plus Premium. I don't know. I probably won't be partaking in the NFL Plus Premium, but I like to take a different perspective. I think Disney has a pretty good hold on the sports the sports genre. Their stock, I don't know why. I used to have Disney stock, but I sold it. I thought it should increase or do or perform better. Disney has been losing subscribers if you look it up. But to me, I mean, they got a pretty good grip on the NBA. They got a good grip on the NFL. Just sports in general. They're a force to be reckoned with, college sports. So I might take another look at their stock, just since they're becoming this big behemoth in the sports industry for those that like sports. So I just want to put that in the vid to keep an eye out for their stock. I don't know if it's the parks that are bringing their values down, but as far as the sports streaming segment, I think Disney is they're putting a gorilla grip on it. So we'll definitely be mindful of that and monitor it. But with that being said, a lot of consumers are that's actually a great segue. They're getting frustrated with, sporting events being behind paywalls. I must say that I agree. If you look at the common trends, or the recent trends, I should say, Netflix, they're getting into sporting games. So, hey, that's probably explains. That's the bad thing about sports. Every time sports gets involved, it always comes with annual increases to that platform. So I have an antenna. So I do like that. I catch a majority of the games. Well, I won't say the majority, but those that are on CBS, NBC, and ABC, I catch those just over the air. So I do have ESPN through Hulu or Disney Plus. But if I didn't have that, I still would be able to catch some sports games. So just want to add some commentary on folks fed up with with the paywalls, and then we'll go from there.
Crying foul as more games head to streaming services, with the Fox News poll revealing 72% of fans think major sporting events should remain free on broadcast television. And as the NFL reportedly considers allowing teams to sell the rights to preseason games to streaming services, the FCC has a warning. An increase in streaming could collapse the league's antitrust exemption. FCC chairman.
At some point, folks are just going to have to make a decision you're just going to have to make some compromises. How about that? You're just going to have to make some compromises on what sports, or just do without maybe watching the game. It's tough, but because I'm a sports fan, but I can't just be holding on. Or you have to be comfortable with grabbing a streaming service and then just letting them go,
Carr joining us right now. Mr. Chairman, thank you for joining us.
These increases are not going to stop. The numbers are getting crazy. Every time they broker a new deal with the televisions, it just keeps going up and up. They're going to keep squeezing and squeezing.
A lot of Americans and sports fans, including me, are so frustrated by the fact that if we want to go and find games, we have to go on these multiple streaming services. Just so our viewers see here, you've got
I have to always look on my Yahoo Sports app just to see, and this is probably you all as well, just to see who's carrying the game. I'm like, okay, I'm grabbing my phone. I'm like, okay, this one's on Amazon. Okay, this one's on Netflix. And then I just kind of gauge it from there. It's crazy.
Video where I've got to watch on Thursday to get the Thursday game. ESPN has the Monday. Netflix had all the Christmas ones. The Red Zone, which we all love.
It used to be pretty clear, on Sunday, you'll get the games on CBS, NBC, and you always knew, hey, Monday Night Football. Well, not always. Monday Night Football wasn't always on ESPN, but it's been for a while. You would always know Monday, okay, this is going to be on ESPN.
That's every touchdown. Now, $15 a month. Add it all up, Chairman, and you're looking at nearly $25.
Look at those prices across the board. You got $30 for ESPN, $9 a month for Netflix. That must be the individual, just your own. Anybody who has the upgraded service, where you have more than one user on it. You're paying more than $9 for Netflix, basically what I'm trying to say. NFL Plus, that's $15 a month. I definitely never engaged in that. Paramount Plus, I do have through other. It's a way to get creative with these, though. We gotta definitely touch base on Paramount Plus. I know they just acquired. Well, you all know they just acquired HBO, and with that came a lot of IP. It came with BET. If you look at BET Plus now, I don't want to get off the rails here, but I gotta throw this out. If you look at BET Plus now, they have all that catalog, all the Tyler Perry stuff, and it says Paramount Plus on the top of it. So when Divorced Sisters comes back, it's got the trailer. It has Paramount Plus as a parent company now.
$100 a year that you would have to shell out to have a near half dozen or more apps.
Peacock, you can get creative. That's $11 a month, but if you bundle it with Apple TV, it's $14 for the two. So that's what I do to take advantage of the Peacock content and the Apple content, for the minimalist price possible.
To watch the game.
And look at YouTube TV hanging out over there. $83 a month now. I used to have YouTube TV. When I had YouTube TV, it was probably, well, everything started off. Hulu kicked everything off, which was sweet, for $40. Now Hulu TV is, I think it's like $90. So it's even more than YouTube TV. YouTube TV is very popular because they can do the multi screens, which is pretty sweet. But when I had it, it was probably $50 because I left Hulu to get with YouTube. It's probably $50 or $65. But it's going to keep climbing and climbing and climbing until, to what end is what I'm curious.
How are you responding to this?
Look, Americans are out there every day. They're working hard. And one of the things that we love to do is get home, take Sunday, turn on the TV, very quickly find the big game you want to watch, either for free over the air or as part of your basic cable. And that experience has become frustrating over the last several years. It's more complex. It's more costly. You effectively have to have a computer science degree to decipher this. As you noted, people have to sign up for Netflix and Hulu and YouTube and Google.
You got to get creative if you want to save a dime or two.
It's very, very difficult these days. But historically, broadcast TV and sports leagues have had a great and mutually beneficial relationship.
And with broadcast TV, even getting the antenna, that's one thing I never really understood. If you can put internet or a modem in these new TVs, these brand new 75-inch TVs, why can't you put a built-in antenna in it to where we can get over-the-air television just out the box? Why do I have to buy an additional antenna, a rabbit ear, or I'm not putting anything on my roof? That's not going to happen. Just to get over-the-air television. It's insane.
It's allowed these leagues to grow and expand. It also helps support local news and reporting when people tune in to watch those programs. It helps make sure that you have great local news and reporting. And we're at a point now where I think some of these leagues are at a tipping point.
And they're on the cusp of, definitely been reading up on, they're trying to get rid of over-the-air television. I keep hearing them changing like the frequencies and all that good stuff. Hopefully, luckily that hasn't affected me or anybody or anyone as of yet, but they're working on it. It's holy smokes.
Push this issue so far that they start to lose their antitrust exemption. Because remember, we're all for sports leagues getting fair market value for their product, but right now they're benefiting from a very unique antitrust exemption to pool their bargaining together. But that exemption only applies under the statute to things called sponsored telecasts. So again, we're at a tip.
At some point, we just got to walk away, band together and walk away. That'll drive advertising dollars down, viewership down. But we'll see. Most of us will never come together.
Where these leagues can push it so far, putting games behind paywalls, that they undermine their ability to claim that antitrust exemption.
Exactly.
It's getting to the point where on Thanksgiving, you got to have Netflix or something like that. And that's an atrocity.
And in that exemption you cite, the 1961 Sports Broadcasting Act, is what the NFL still benefits from. So you're saying regulators are questioning whether the NFL still merits that collective bargaining exemption when it's on these apps. It's forcing fans like myself and millions of others to have to go pay for a streaming service just to watch one specific group of games.
Yeah, I think they're close to pushing this past the tipping point. And again, it can ultimately raise prices for consumers if these leagues are demanding exorbitant rates in excess of market value because they're benefiting from that antitrust exemption. Across the board, President Trump is working hard to drive down prices for consumers. We're seeing it at the FCC. For instance, cell phone prices are down 6%.
Hey, got to give credit where credit is due. If the administration, look at Sunday Ticket hanging out over there. I know folks who, mostly Dallas Cowboy fans, they have Sunday Ticket because they want to watch every game, but I've never purchased Sunday Ticket. I just can't. I can't justify it. I can't even justify the NFL Red Zone. The whole concept where every time a team is about to get a touchdown or in the red zone, it pops up. I'm good on that. Thank you. I'll check out the highlights.
Down 8% off of Biden era highs. Internet as a general matter is down between 6.
Oh, from what I was saying though, that's good. Gotta give credit where credit is due. If the administration is willing to jump in and try to help on this, kudos to them. Kudos to them.
8%. And this is just another issue where people feel like they're paying too much out of pocket. They're signing up for these bespoke services. They're trying to remember to cancel it in 30 days before they're on the hook. But this has worked really well over the years. Sports and broad.
That's the motto. A lot of people have subscriptions they're paying and they don't even realize, not me. A lot of people have prescriptions they're paying. They don't even realize they're paying. And, you got to keep up with that stuff. You can't just keep getting a recurring bill and not knowing where that money's going. You got to get a little more organized.
TV to the benefit of the American consumer, but it's gotten too costly, too complex, and they can push this too far.
And Mr. Chairman, bottom line, what possible actions could the FCC be looking at taking?
Well, we have a proceeding ongoing at the FCC right now. The comment cycle just closed. We actually got thousands and thousands of comments. It was a big number for the FCC. We're reviewing that right now. The vast majority so far, based on an initial assessment, support keeping a significant portion of these sports games on free over-the-air broadcast TV. So we'll be looking at it.
That has to happen. I think if that ever was to not be a thing, keeping it over the air, I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna walk away.
Be actions at other portions of the government and Congress as well if these sports leagues continue to push this issue.
FCC Chairman.
A lot of folks argue that, watching sports might not be the best utilization of our time, but I do like watching sports. I mean, yeah, everyone can be doing something else a little more productive, but it's a good release, a good relaxation. So I'm willing to walk away, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. I think the older I get, the more sports I watch. So I wonder what's up with that.
Claude, thank you for your insight. Please come back and keep us posted, because I can tell you a lot of sports fans are watching this very closely because, as you said, they come home on Sunday and sometimes they just want to turn on and watch a game and they cannot find it. They've got to pay big bucks to get it on an app. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Steve.
So good reporting on that. We'll monitor the situation. Definitely getting squeezed from every angle, but we're going to hang in there and figure out creative ways to beat the system. Let's talk about data centers, shall we? We all hear data centers more often now with the advances in technology. And I, for myself, thought, hey, no big deal. I thought they were harmless. I thought they were needed, which they probably are needed. But I had no idea of the consequences that these data centers were causing. You hear, oh, Meta is doing a data center, or we need data centers to help keep up with the other countries and all that good stuff to advance our technology. However, it seems like with these data centers, it could be more than meets the eye. So let's check it out and go from there.
Home to more than 50,000 people, South Haven, Mississippi is a quiet suburb. That is, residents say, until Elon Musk's AI power plant came to town. For months now,
You've even heard, administration saying we want to invest in, well, not the administration themselves, but saying that, billionaires or whatnot are investing in data centers just to spit it out. And, you at least myself, I thought nothing of it. I'm like, hey, cool. We're advancing technology. We're creating these centers to hold this data for YouTube and Google and all that good stuff. But check out the effects.
found communities near the plant here. All day and night.
It sounds like jets are taking off and they never take off.
Coming from dozens of methane turbines sent to power Elon Musk's AI data center. That's the power plant, and we're getting a decibel reading here in the low 60s. That's about as loud as a dishwasher running 24/7 just steps from that house.
When I was a little girl, the garden was right over there.
Crystal Polk's family has lived here for generations.
That noise is constant. It's constant. It's like staying next to an airport where you're hearing the planes just constantly. It's definitely no good. No bueno.
Before Black people were even allowed to own property. What has life been like for you since the turbines came to town?
Excruciating. The noise is constant. It never ends. This is the noise level that we are experiencing at 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes it's very, very, very loud with loud screeching and railing, like rails are hitting up against each other. That's just unbearable.
And it's not just a concern over noise, but
check it out. The sensors, you can see what's going on. All that, they say methane getting burned over there. Who knew that this is what having a data center around you meant, basically?
pollution too. Nonprofit newsroom Floodlight published this thermal drone footage, which they say shows the gas burning at the facility. The Environmental Protection Agency has said gas turbines are a major source of hazardous air pollutants, including formaldehyde and other probable human carcinogens.
I have severe.
So now we got noise and we have pollution in the air.
And sometimes I can smell the pollution in the air, and I don't want to be exposed to that and cause more damage to myself.
Who knows? Might cause cancer. Might be a cause of cancer in the next 5 years. Who knows?
The Department of Environmental Quality telling NBC News right now they've confirmed the facility is utilizing efficient air pollution control technology to minimize emission, despite operating without an air permit for months, which the department said wasn't required for the initial temporary turbines.
We don't really know how bad this pollutant is right now.
Jason Haley.
Yeah, it's definitely way too early to deduce that type of, they got to do the science and the research on it, yes?
Has doubts.
Do you worry it could be bad?
Yes, I do. You shouldn't put this right next to people's neighborhoods.
Did they not think about that though? You know, I had no idea. I'm sure a lot of the public didn't know that this came with a data center. So why didn't they put this off in the middle of nowhere? I don't know if it's infrastructure or what, but come on.
Founded the Safe and Sound Coalition, a group trying to stop those turbines from becoming permanent.
It's March 5th at 12:10 a.m.
He says people like this officer come by every few hours to take decibel readings, but that the readings don't tell the whole story.
We took a decibel reading down at the park, and it was like in the 50s, 60s, which is equivalent to the hum of a dishwasher, which might not sound like much to people.
I've heard the comparison to this isn't much louder than my dishwasher or my vacuum cleaner. It's louder than that. Well, you don't run that 24/7.
Amen, brother. Come on. That's a false narrative. It's not apples to apples.
AI did not respond to NBC News' request for comment about the Mississippi plant and
of course not.
its concerns. South Haven's mayor.
And hey, you know, we keep things even keeled here. Yeah, they have Elon Musk's name down there, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the only data center. If all data centers are creating this problem, then that's what needs to be dealt with on scale.
Called the noise a legitimate concern and says XAI installed a $7 million sound wall and is considering more mitigation. He also emphasized the economic impact.
Our city and entire community will soon reap unprecedented financial benefits from this new strategic alliance.
Well, that's one key right there. You know, state of Mississippi, it's already bought. It's already paid for. So hopefully they can right the ship. But let's continue.
XAI plans to spend more than $20 billion in the area, the governor announced, bringing with it much needed jobs. But Jason and Crystal are not alone in their worry. Hundreds of people showed up to the state hearing in South Haven, urging officials to reject XAI's bid for 41 permanent gas turbines. This month, Mississippi regulators unanimously approved.
Good luck, people. Good luck.
Those permanent turbines, which the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality says will require an air permit. On X, Elon Musk said he was thrilled it was approved, adding it powers the future of AI innovation. A future the residents we spoke to say will cost them their own.
A bit of a a bit of a conundrum. This is a bit of a conundrum.
I can't live with this. I'm going to have to move.
Tell me more about what's happening for you right now.
It's just the thought that this may be the end of something that's been in my family for years. And I feel like we don't matter.
And don't take this lightly. It's not just easy to just move. Who's going to buy? If you're going to move, I assume you're going to sell. So who's going to buy?
To those who are in charge, that we are invisible to them.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, South Haven, Mississippi.
We think.
So definitely heartfelt situation going on there. Hopefully things improve for those in that residence or that local community. Definitely look forward to hearing reports on that situation. So if you tuned in to last week's episode, you know that we're monitoring the SpaceX IPO. As promised, we want to give you an update on that. As of the date of this recording, it is not on the market or not available. The IPO has not happened yet. But let's see what Fox Business has to say on the opening or the IPO of SpaceX. Check it out.
Now, my next guest has been providing a way for retail investors to own many stocks that are going to be coming public, especially one that everybody wants a piece of. Let's bring in Entrepreneurshare LLC COO, Ava Ottos. A lot of titles. Every time you come, you got a new title.
Those are the whales that get it. Those ones who can get there first. But one thing I can say about the majority of IPOs that I've had the opportunity to watch, normally when they come out, well, they spike up, but then they drop back down relatively quickly. And then from there, it's just a trickle up. So basically my what's the word I'm looking for? My method, or what I plan on doing, is just grabbing and holding. So I'm not really looking to buy it early and wait for it to spike and then sell off. So I'm trying to do the long game with this one to see if I can reap the benefits in the future or pass them along to the next generation.
Of course, everyone's talking about SpaceX. For a long time now, you've been able to find a way to get these shares, put them into your fund, and people have access to that. Talk now about the excitement that's building up, because this is going to be probably the biggest IPO in history.
In history, the biggest IPO by far. If you look at the previous tech IPOs, they came well under 100 billion. That's 1.75 trillion. We have very strong conviction. That's why we have 205.
I don't want you all to miss out on this opportunity. Like, I always say, what if my parents would have invested, or even, if they would have invested in Apple like in the 90s, that would have grown exponentially. So I would like, or definitely myself and anyone in the sound of my voice, to, if you can, at least try to take advantage of this IPO, grab and hold, and let's see where it takes you.
In the XOVR ETF, marked at the last tender of 1.25. So we're very comfortable that this is going to give a good premium to current shareholders, perhaps of 40%, if it IPOs at 1.75. It's
hard to believe that it won't. I mean, I'm a critic of IPOs in general because of what's happened to them. I think, people got ripped off in 20 and 21. It feels like obviously different. Also, Elon Musk is talking about, when they go public, giving the retail investor a bigger slice of the pie. Instead of 5 or 10%, maybe 30%.
That's exciting and encouraging.
You like that idea?
We do like it.
The whales are going to be, out there, but just I'm going to get what I can. Get your money right, people. Get your money right.
About democratizing access to private equity. That's why we created XOVR, for everyone out there to have access to pre-IPO companies, and SpaceX to us is the crown jewel. That's why we have such a strong conviction. This IPO is going to be very different than most IPOs out there.
I just got to ask, some people are a little frustrated. They get jumped in line in some of the procedures. Exchanges are rewriting the rules. Are you okay with that? Is it so special that we should be okay with that and look the other way?
I think so. I think especially when it comes to IPOs, if you look at the last IPOs over the last 15 years, for example, Facebook, Airbnb, Uber, Circle, You have a 6-month lockup in the first 6 months, and then we studied them and we saw that they reached the peak of 100 to 130% appreciation in this first 6 months, only to drop after lockup from that peak by about 43% on average.
Right.
So that's going to be mitigated with SpaceX. And the reason is, first of all, Elon owns about 40% of the company.
Right.
That's why we buy and hold. Shout out to EYL. We're looking for stocks that's going to increase long term, and there's a lot of steam and a lot of promise behind SpaceX.
If there is a faster conclusion to the S&P 500 index, that's going to change the game, because then you have $7 to $10 trillion mutual funds and ETFs of passive money following the index, and $8 to $11 trillion of corporate mandates following the index. So that's going to be buying pressure, and that will mitigate the selling pressure we see after lockup.
I love that. That answer I had not heard yet. I love that answer, because that's another thing, I usually wait to buy these IPOs a year later, because they go up, and like a Roman candle, they have this bright, beautiful blow up, and everyone's looking at it, then they drift to earth, and everyone kind of forgets about it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying.
They've got some support here. The
Exactly.
other potentially hot IPO could be OpenAI. Right now, the latest valuation, if you add up McDonald's, Disney, Boeing, Uber, all of these, it equals OpenAI. Although I'm hearing some negative scuttlebutt too. Story, that they're trying to sell shares privately. No one wants to buy it. Anthropic's taking market share.
Yeah, speaking of OpenAI, let's watch that one, because as the gentleman was just about to mention, Anthropic and Claude, apparently they're the best. I never used Claude, but apparently they're the best AI software right now. So we got a segment coming up on Claude as well, so stay tuned.
This is a hot IPO. Are you looking at this?
We did consider it to include it to XOVR, but we want to have the big players that we believe have a strong.
I wasn't quite tracking on OpenAI's IPO. We'll monitor that. Sam Altman, his team, OpenAI. That's ChatGPT. They've been kind of getting bad publicity here they say it's Claude, then ChatGPT. I use Gemini myself, the Google product, but yeah, we'll monitor it. But maybe their IPO could be interesting as well.
OpenAI does not have a strong
So just because of size, that doesn't matter, right?
No.
You're just going strictly on size.
Actually, after the XAI merger with SpaceX, to me it is clear that SpaceX will be the winner with XAI, because the moat was never about the AI models. The moat was always about infrastructure and having data centers in the space. So Elon is going to have the whole supply chain. It's going to be very hard for any other.
If you heard what the young lady just said, having data centers in space. We just did a segment on the consequences or the cons to having data centers here in our local communities. So, all right, I might be starting to see the play.
AI company to compete against him, because they'll have to use his supply chain, just like we see with Amazon Leo.
Let me ask you about Ubiquity. I saw your notes. This is the name you like. I've been in this stock in and out of it for years. It's starting to really get a big following right now.
Yes, and it's important to know that the founder owns 93% of the company. That's it. We have never. You rarely see a public company with such a high concentration. The free float is about 7%. We really like it. Its fundamentals are very strong, 4 times the profit of the rest of the category. Very, very strong fundamentals.
Great and great execution. Palantir, listen, they keep getting new contracts. They keep executing, and the stock keeps drifting lower.
Yeah, Palantir. It was a lot of promise for their stock, but I've been watching Palantir. I think I'm pretty sure they make the technologies for government contracts and all that good stuff for wars and all that good stuff. But their stock hasn't been really performing like a lot of folks said it would.
But I think it's not, and again, it's a volatile market, right? So that's why I feel comfortable owning SpaceX, because at least we know that this is going to hopefully appreciate by the time of the IPO. But it is a volatile market. I like it long term, though.
Hopefully, with all this being said, I'm going to get off here in a minute. what the young lady's saying, SpaceX, you know, they may be a more secure, they have more moats, they might be a better play. Because if you're somebody like me, I have to pick. If I'm getting an individual stock, I have to pick and choose wisely. I don't just get randoms because I like to be structured. I like to be focused. So I do mostly index funds and ETFs. If I do an individual stock, it has to be one. It's going to be one of the Mag 7s. One of the Mag 7s. If I have some disposable income, you know, I'll drop it on Rivian, or I've done AMC. I've cashed out on those. I still have some residuals, but AMC is a whole nother. I think it was $1 the other day. That's a whole nother video. But to stay on topic, SpaceX might be one of the ones that in our lifetime might be one of those stocks that you can jump on, you know, as soon as it comes out and ride it out, and that might produce dividends here for a long time into the future. So definitely going to monitor that and anticipating that IPO. Anthropic. So as we mentioned, Anthropic is the creator of the software Claude, which is a lot argue is the best platform for OpenAI at this time. But apparently Claude or Anthropic is getting a little too advanced, too quickly, too big for his britches. So let's check out some reporting on that to see if we have something to be worried about, to see if they have this contained, and get a better understanding of what exactly is going on with Anthropic and Claude.
You know about the age of Ultron, maybe. And it was a peacekeeping AI that became so powerful, it became the threat. And I'm not going to lie, like there is some news making waves today that seems a little like sci-fi, but it is not.
Age of Ultron, not one of my favorite Marvel movies, but however, for the context, it fits.
The AI giant Anthropic. They just announced that they have this new model so powerful that they will not be releasing it to the public. They called it Mythos, and apparently it's already found thousands of massive security flaws, what they describe as zero-day vulnerabilities in cybersecurity. That is a big deal, and it's in every major operating system, every single browser. It's the stuff that you and I are using every single day. So this is all such a reckoning that all of a sudden this is happening. And I know what you're thinking, like this is just a bunch of logos. These are some of the biggest tech companies on the planet. These are competitors, and they are being given access to Mythos for good, to use it to harden defenses. So
well, that is a positive, but if you heard them, it said it has already identified some breaches in these particular said companies. So let's see.
What is going on? Why is everybody assembling in this kind of weird tech dream team? Well, joining us now is NBC's AI fellow, Jared Perlow. Jared, great to see you, and credit where credit's due. Anthropic, like they did post what they have been red teaming here publicly.
Look at it. Say his name. Look at this gentleman.
They're working with these other companies on their own volition. But what does this, first of all, tell us about Mythos's capabilities right now?
So what we know about Mythos comes from Anthropic itself. So I think everything that we know about it should be taken with a certain grain of salt, because they say they can't release Mythos, technically called Claude Mythos Preview, publicly because it is so powerful. Now, I also want to flag that potentially this is a case of AI company crying wolf, crying AI model that's too powerful to release. But from all the experts I've been talking to, it does seem like this is the real deal. So as you mentioned, this new model, Mythos Preview, has apparently discovered thousands of critical and high high-risk cyber vulnerabilities, some which have never been discovered before. And one of them even goes back 27 years. This bug has been sitting in this really critical system for 27 years, and apparently Mythos has found it. So Anthropic has launched this new coalition, this consortium, as you mentioned, of leading tech companies to basically give them a head start to say, we think that we've discovered this crazy new power. We think you should be able to plug your defenses before we release this publicly, although we don't really know. Anthropic says they don't know if and when they'll ever release the full model publicly.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you all pay for any of the OpenAI platforms? ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, do you all pay? Let me know in the comments, because I currently do not. And one of my buddies did let me know that the paid version of ChatGPT is a lot better. So let me know in the comments. It might sway my decision on that.
What you're just describing, this teaming up and this planning for, we want to use this as defense instead of offense. It sounds like a bunch of companies. And yet missing on that list is Meta and XAI. And look, I know a lot of people may not have spent as much time on World of Warcraft as I did. But back in the day, there was this guy, Leroy Jenkins, right? And a lot of this reminds me a little bit of,
Did I freeze?
Plan for defense, and then all of a sudden you got somebody coming in and saying Leroy Jenkins and just running into a very difficult and dangerous situation. It did not turn out well for Leroy Jenkins or the entire raiding party. But is there a chance that we might see another big tech company come in and be like, you know what, we have a model this powerful and we are releasing it publicly?
I think that's a big question, and love the reference. More people need to reference it. OpenAI is probably working on a model very similar in capabilities, in power right now. I wouldn't be shocked if they release it in the coming weeks, the coming months. I think zooming out, the big takeaway here is that AI seems like it's entering a new era. The government is involved in this. All these leading tech companies are involved in this. I like to say, it's hard for me to see models becoming less intelligent, less capable from here on out. So I think that's certainly an option for all sorts of critical software systems and critical infrastructure like power grids, even airplanes, anything that really involves software.
Mm-hmm. One of the other things that's wild is when you're looking through the notes here and you're like, oh, wait, this was going on months ago. Everything that we see in the headlines that has to do with AI happened in the past. We don't know where things are right now. But a couple months ago, we also saw, while all this was going on, Anthropic fighting or disagreeing with the Pentagon over how its AI could be used for things like autonomous weapons or surveillance. The Pentagon then just boxed them out. And now we've got this. Does the Pentagon know about all this stuff? These companies that we just showed, they have contracts with the government. Where does Anthropic now fit in with the Pentagon, with defense, and what's going to happen to the industry as a whole?
Maybe jumping on that Anthropic IPO might be a good idea.
Well, Gotti, I think you're asking the critical $100 trillion question right there, because basically Anthropic is saying we have this model that's too powerful to release publicly. One would hope that the government is in some way involved with this model or knows about it. So we've heard from Anthropic today. Somebody at Anthropic told me that they're working with certain government agencies in the cybersecurity and infrastructure business, also with the Center for AI Standards and Innovation, to basically share with them, to brief them on the capabilities of this model. But as you said, the government's actively trying to divorce itself from Anthropic. So you have this odd kind of tug of war.
Or maybe not. No, I think they're going to be a solid company. Of course, if they're going to lead the industry, then it would definitely behoove anybody to follow them and pick up some shares if they're available.
Attention, they're trying to divorce themselves, but this technology might be critical for American security or international, supremacy. So I think we're going to see where it goes. Today we saw a new ruling from a judge in D.C. that says the government can proceed potentially with divorcing itself from Anthropic. That was just a couple hours ago. So I'm really curious to see where this goes. I think it's going to play out over the next couple weeks, next couple months, but I think everybody should really buckle up and change your password.
You're curious. I am stressed, and we will definitely be.
Speaking of changing your password, I got to be honest, when I get that pop up saying you need to change your password, it's been breached, or this website, I just hit no or continue. So let me know in the comments if you change your password every time you're prompted to do so, because I don't want my information to get leaked more than it already probably has. So yeah, that's Anthropic. We're going to continue to keep an eye on that company. It should be one of the leading in the industry, so it's always good to monitor them on their progress. So we reported on the Alpha School out in Texas. It's one of those new models. It's kind of AI driven for today's classroom or today's student. They've been doing very well. Reports on that school have, students are excelling, top of class and all that good stuff. But now we have, there's always a contrast. We have another school, they're doing more oral presentations and, instead of focusing so much on AI. So let's check out the reporting and then go from there and deduce.
Are bringing AI into their daily routines. Others are actually pushing back.
Cornell professor Chris Schaefer is requiring his students to participate in oral exams. Now, this may be an older testing method.
Off the bat, I agree with the taking this stance, but I don't agree with not doing the AI part. I think it should be a balance. I think it should be a mixture. I had to do a presentation the other day, in public speaking. That is the number one fear documented, is that. And then number two is death. So yeah, public speaking it's easy for some, definitely not easy for the most. So I think that incorporating in person, in class, getting in front of the classroom and doing your thing is definitely beneficial, but I don't think that should come at the price of just excluding AI. So let's see what they say.
But some professors see it as a way to really ensure answers actually come from the students' minds. Biomedical engineering professor Chris Schaefer joins us now. Chris, I'm so interested in this. I mean, on one hand, I want to take that Boston course, right? But on the other, I think it is so important that we have sort of these oral elements. Tell us, when was the moment that you realized you really had to change the way that you actually test your students?
Yeah, so this class is one that's taught, like many quantitative science and engineering classes, where there are these long take-home problem sets that students take home and work on. And this is where they really learn how to work on hard and difficult problems. And ever since the release of generative AI, I've been giving our problem sets to generative AI each year. And it was in August of 2025 that generative AI had near-perfect solutions to these problems and to these questions. And that's when I thought I really needed to try to structure how we assess students around these questions in ways that don't tempt such a trivial use of artificial intelligence.
We talked to a lot of teachers and professors like yourself who kind of just know when they're not looking at students.
Okay, I agree. AI should definitely just be a tool, definitely a tool. So we don't want to depend totally on AI, because a lot of that stuff, it comes out, you need to definitely proofread it, especially if you're in school, and cross-reference.
And they're looking at something generated by AI. So now that you've switched to oral arguments, how does that work? What are you looking for as you evaluate your students?
So we still have them, we still assign a problem set, they still take it home, and they still submit it, their solutions to it. But we just don't grade those solutions anymore. Instead, once they've submitted solutions, they then schedule an oral exam with a member of the teaching staff, where we ask them to explain or justify some choice they made in their solution.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, this is definitely okay. It's basically just, you do your problem set, and then you come in the classroom and show competence. So there's nothing. This is great. There's nothing wrong with that.
To solve a similar problem right in the moment, or to otherwise answer conceptual questions about the topics that were covered on the problem set. And then that is evaluated in the moment by a member of the teaching staff.
I feel like an old lady for saying this, but I also love the social skills that sort of come from something like that. I mean, have you noticed any differences?
Definitely builds confidence. And again, leading to what we begin this segment with, It builds up your, in my opinion, if you're going to be doing public speaking, I think like anything else, you just need practice. If you just take someone and throw them out there to the wolves, yes, they're going to perform, but repetitions, at least for me, is what gets me going and gets me more comfortable in that role.
In your students' performance?
So student performance is basically the same as last year on final exams and things like that. So we don't think we're losing any student performance by pivoting to oral exams. One thing I will say, though, is that it provides a fantastic opportunity for one-on-one structured feedback about how individual students.
I just was going to say, yeah, opportunity for constructive criticism. A lot of people, well, constructive criticism, I won't do the side remarks, but it's always good to be open for feedback and, you know, try to make yourself ultimately better in whatever profession or craft that you're involved in.
We have 6 of these problem sets over the course of the semester. So this forces a 20 to 30 minute conversation with each and every student 6 times over the course of the semester about their understanding and their ability to use the content knowledge that they're learning in the class.
Quickly before you go, what are they saying about it? How are they responding?
Surprisingly, I was afraid students would be very nervous about this, and they were maybe for the first one. But by the end of the class, both the teaching staff and the students prefer it.
Sounds like a tough course. Chris Schaefer, thank you so much for your time today.
Excellent segment. Definitely building the next generation up to have them do real time, in-person activities. It's perfect. So I see nothing wrong with that. Look forward to seeing that model be widely used. I'm pretty sure even in the alpha school, they probably have a bit of that in the curriculum. It's not just strictly submit this paper, you know, and go from there. So we'll take. So are you a candy eater? You like candy? You know, candy crushing? My wife does. You know, she definitely enjoys the Kit Kats, Reese's, and all that good stuff. But apparently at Hershey, they're cutting corners, and that has been affecting their product. So a little story about Hershey. My buddy told me, Mr. Hershey, you know, they wanted to, you know, it was the industrial age, and you're getting new. This was back in the day, getting new advances in technology, and they wanted to bring in some kind of conveyor belt or some type of machine that would cut out, I want to say, like 25 of his employees. And Mr. Hershey said, well, don't worry about getting that. Send that back and get me 25 more employees. So that's definitely not the mantra of industries today. You know, every industry, for good or for bad, you know, they're trying to get their profits. They're cutting costs and corners where they can. But when it starts affecting the product, that's when it's going to be issues, and ultimately you're going to lose sales. So let's check out this reporting on Hershey and check out the latest and greatest on their products that you may be purchasing. And let me know if you taste the difference in it.
Earlier this week, the Hershey Company announced that next year it's returning all of its classic brands back to earlier milk and dark chocolate recipes, impacting about 3% of its Reese's products. The move comes amid a growing backlash over.
For those that don't know, Hershey owns Reese's. I didn't know that before doing a little bit of research on it. So they've acquired the Reese's brand.
Recipe changes and the use of chocolate alternatives in some of its candies. Dima Zain explores what's behind this latest battle in the chocolate wars.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Kit Kats. I have literally eaten them my whole life.
My wife used to love, this is when we were teenagers, a Kit Kat and a Pepsi, a fresh Kit Kat bar. Man, that scored some points. That's how I used to get points, you know.
When I was in high school, I used to have one of those extra large Kit Kat bars, like once a week. I would just carry it around.
For the record, if you're my age, you shouldn't really be eating candy unless you got a pretty good workout regimen. Just FYI, probably time to let that go.
Backpack.
As a teenager, Hyacinth Moya had a serious sweet tooth, but these days she's noticed a change in the chocolate she grew up loving.
The main thing is that it feels really waxy. Yeah, it just wasn't the same.
And it's not just Kit Kats, says Philip Dennison, a former Snickers fan from Minnesota.
It's kind of the big name brands here in the U.S. Under like Mars and Hershey's. I grew up eating them back in the 80s and 90s as a kid, and the flavor profile has changed.
Professed chocoholic Julia Alvarado agrees.
I love Reese's peanut butter cups, all those. And honestly, over like the last few years, I've just found myself avoiding them.
It's kind of
I was talking to the wife, and Reese's definitely has taken a different in taste. I can't handle that anymore, but even she's noticed a different in the taste and the quality.
Because there's that sense of
Oreos too, which is a different topic, but same effect.
That's lost. Like, I know what this should taste like, but it doesn't anymore.
Amid a chorus of these disappointed customers, Hershey announced it would adjust the ingredients in some of its classic brands to include more of the costly raw ingredient that makes chocolate, the cocoa bean.
Cocoa prices have...
Sounds like a good idea, but as you're going to see, with all things, sourcing these get more expensive and more expensive. So, hey, you try to find a synthetic or a different way to produce the same product for the minimalist price possible.
Sharply in recent years, driven by climate change and production issues in West Africa, where most cocoa is grown. Prices hit a record high at the end of 2024, and although they've fallen since, candy makers who buy months ahead are still feeling the impact.
Candy industries are profit driven, and as the cost of ingredients go up, they've got to figure out ways to either reduce costs or raise prices.
Richard Hartel, a food science professor at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, has studied chocolate for 35 years and has kept records of ingredients in popular chocolate candies for more than a decade, and he's noticed some changes.
Here we have the 2015 version, here's the 2025 version. They've actually reduced the amount of chocolate ingredient in the chocolate product.
Last fall, a New York Times investigation found major chocolate brands were using less cocoa in their products, and that popular candies like Rolos, Almond Joy, and Mr. Goodbar had quietly dropped the term milk chocolate from their labels. Under FDA guidelines,
so no longer milk chocolate. That just said chocolate candy. Interesting.
Candy labeled milk chocolate must be at least 10% chocolate liquor, a liquid made from cocoa beans, which contains cocoa butter. When it drops below 10%, companies have swapped in terms like chocolate candy and chocolate tea, a subtle shift that most consumers won't notice.
I'm definitely going to start keeping an eye out for it. So chocolate candy, vice milk chocolate. Got it.
That chocolate, what are they filling it with?
The standard in the
not even 10% though. We can't even get 10% of cocoa in there.
industry these days is palm kernel oil because it mimics cocoa butter's properties quite well. We've got a bunch of chocolates here to taste.
Hartel says in taste tests, high-quality compound coatings or chocolate alternatives can often trick even his savvy food science students.
Most people cannot tell the difference. One article I was reading suggested that by 2050 there would be no chocolate production, no cocoa production, that all of those plantations would go away.
More oil and fillers. Oil and fillers.
Kind of doomsaying. But
I want to know if it's peanut butter in those Reese's peanut butter cups.
People are looking like that, talking like that.
But these tweaks to candy ingredients have sparked criticism from some unexpected corners.
They're really using inferior, cheap ingredients.
Brad Reese has a last name chocolate lovers might know.
Yeah, this gentleman, he's from the descendant line of Reese's, so I'm sure he's not the happiest right now.
Grandfather H.B. Reese created the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup nearly a century ago, and Brad's always been an unofficial and unpaid brand ambassador.
My whole life, I've been very proud of the Reese's brand. My website and my LinkedIn profile.
Reese's used to be my favorite chocolate candy, to be honest with you. Definitely, growing up, I used to love Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and the little minis. I didn't like the Reese's Pieces. I hated those. But the Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup, yeah, that was my thing.
Brad Reese, growing Reese's worldwide, one peanut butter cup at a time.
That changed on Valentine's Day when Hershey's launched a new product.
The Reese's peanut butter mini hearts, I took 2 bites and I had to spit it out. And of course, then I dumped all the contents in the garbage and I saved the wrapper and I looked at the.
My man spit it out. He couldn't even swallow it.
And realized it didn't say milk.
I never had those mini hearts. Obviously, it's just a little miniature peanut butter cup. But no, check it out. Chocolate candy and peanut butter cream.
He shared his feelings in a viral.
My man couldn't even swallow it. He couldn't even swallow it. Holy smokes.
In post, writing, how does the Hershey Company continue to position Reese's as its flagship brand, a symbol of trust, loyalty, and leadership, while quietly replacing the very ingredients that built Reese's trust in the first place? The Hershey Company declined our request for an interview, but in a written statement to the PBS NewsHour, they said, quote, Hershey is committed to making products consumers love, and that means continuing.
Hey, Hershey is a staple in American culture, so let's don't knock them too much, but let's get these products back to the best quality possible.
Reviewing recipes to meet evolving tastes and preferences. It's a change Julia Alvarado welcomes.
I just kind of wish that companies prioritized quality over quantity in a lot of situations, because you're going to lose the loyalty. I would have stayed loyal to Hershey's, honestly, forever.
She says she's willing to taste it again.
Because it's a balance, right? Like, yes, definitely want the best quality, the better quality, or no issues. The more customers, loyal customers, the more revenue coming in, more employees, it's a whole circle, But if a company can trim some things, they're going, and that says milk chocolate right there, they're going to try to trim some things. So you got to just balance. Let's balance this. I definitely don't want Hershey's to go under or anything like that. I'm sure they feed a lot of families. So it's just that balance, hopefully they can right the ship on this.
Before confirming if it's too chocolate for her. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Dima Zain.
So that's the reporting on Hershey's. Hopefully that product can get back up to par for those candy lovers. Definitely hope or wish Hershey's company as a whole the best, because I know they used to be based out of Philadelphia. I heard the whole town, it used to be Hershey's town. The whole town would smell like chocolate. So I never visited, but that just sounds freaking awesome. So we have a rise in vehicle repossessions. As of the date of this recording, the average price for a brand new vehicle, car payment, is going to be around $750 per month. A used vehicle is going to be about $550. Those are, you've seen the TikToks and the vids of people paying more of that. Again, that's the average. But it is getting out of control. These cars, hey, they're coming off the factory. They're costing $80,000. You can't get anything, definitely not new, off the lot for less than $50,000 for the most part, not brand new. And that's for a sedan. So definitely changing times. There's been an uptick on the repossessions of said vehicles. So let's check out the reporting on that and provide commentary from there.
Time is of the essence. In San Diego, Alex Alvarez from Active Recovery Services has located a car that's on his repo list for lack of payment. It's in the...
That's one job I couldn't be the repo man. That's what we call him, the repo man. Sometimes those guys get challenged. That's just one profession that I can't do. I can't do it.
Parking lot of a shopping center. It takes them less than 5 minutes to hook, lift, and tow the car out of the park.
Those guys and girls are definitely good at what they do. I've seen some just scoop in, whoop, and ride out.
and it's gone just like that.
It has to be fast. People want to get in the vehicle before we hook it up.
Then you got situations like that. The gentleman said people want to get in the vehicle. Then you got a whole situation on your hand. You know, probably got to get law enforcement. Some might try to draw down on you. Who knows? Probably, I would assume that job could be potentially dangerous.
Alex says he takes no pleasure in leaving people without a car, but...
And then you got to deal with, you know, that's heavy on the heart. You know, somebody saying, you know, I paid the bill, and, you know, you just probably... You're on assignment. You're following orders. If it's time to pick it up, it's time to pick it up.
That's the job he's hired to do.
Well, I'm buying work boots to start work on Monday, and all of a sudden I just started seeing a tow truck.
Ezekiel Rodriguez was driving the car that Alex just picked up. He says it belongs to his girlfriend, and she let him borrow it while she traveled out of the country on a family emergency. Now they have to figure out a way to get it back, and soon.
Because I started at 4 a.m. and there's no MTS at that time. And Uber right now is very expensive, so.
According to the Federal Reserve, 3.88% of auto loans fell into delinquency in the third quarter of 2025, the highest since March 2010. And the trend continued through the end of the year. And those with the lowest credit scores are being impacted the most. The report shows almost 16% of borrowers with subprime credit are late on their payments.
And when I gave those numbers of the average car payment, I didn't get into the subprime lenders and the payments for that. So that's the subprime is basically means you have probably more than 15 or more %. Well, subprime basically means your credit score is not quite there, so you're going to get a higher interest rate on it. So that means the majority of your payment is going towards interest, so it's going to take quite a while to pay it off if you just do the minimum payment.
Experts say there are some steps you can take to make sure your car doesn't get repossessed.
Changing your car payment from being $600 a month to $450 a month can make it a lot more affordable and a lot easier to pay.
Simon Goodall is the CEO of Caribou, an online auto loan refinance company. He says one way to lower your monthly payments is to refinance.
Because if they bought a car and their credit wasn't great, but they've made a payment consistently, oftentimes their credit score is improved and they might not even know it.
Another option is extending your loan. And he said that doesn't necessarily mean you'll pay more in interest.
If you want an 84-month loan to begin with, so you have a lower required payment, but you want to pay more than the minimum, you'll pay your car off faster. So it's complete flexibility.
He also told us people refinancing at 84 months are saving about $179 a month. If you're already behind on your payments, the first thing to do is to contact your lender. You might be surprised how flexible they are to help you keep your car and keep the loan going.
And let it be known, when they send a truck to come get your repo, you're probably already 60 days late. So it's not like they missed one payment and then just sent the repo man out for them. That's not how it works.
Flores, NBC News, San Diego, California.
So that's that influx on repossessions. You know, if you do have a vehicle, try your best to pay it off. Hold your car longer. Getting into that whirlwind of trading your car in and then getting the negative equity tacked on to your next vehicle. That is not the move. Let's be smart out here and try to make better choices. And, you know, we definitely, by doing that, we won't find ourselves in these type of predicaments. So as a form of protest, some Americans are banding together to not pay federal taxes. At face value, I don't see how that's going to bode well. But let's listen to the reporting and see exactly how they plan on doing this, because I'm curious. I'm curious myself.
Americans are protesting the war in Iran and President Trump's domestic policies by putting their money where their mouth is as part of a call to sit out of paying federal taxes this year.
I'm Rachel and I'm not paying my federal income tax this year.
I know where that's going to end up landing you. But let's see how they're going to not get incarcerated by doing this.
We stop paying our taxes.
Tax strike 2026.
Spread the word.
On social media, people saying they'd rather put the money into a savings account, donate it to a charity, or simply...
Yeah, me too. But unfortunately, it's against the law. But let's hear them out.
keep it for themselves. Anything instead of handing it over to the federal government. It's called war tax resistance, a type of protest that's been around in some form since the colonial era, spiking around the Vietnam War when folk singer Joan Baez famously refused to pay 60% of her taxes, reportedly leading the IRS to file a lien against her. Lawyers and accountants say following in her footsteps could land you in big trouble, but advocates say interest is now surging again.
Before the invasion of Gaza, we would typically have 40,000 unique users visit our site on an annual basis. This past January, we had the most visits to our website that we've ever had, over 110,000 unique users.
War tax resistance gained traction online as Americans share concerns with Trump. Well, as Americans share concerns.
Lincoln Rice leads the National War Tax Resistance Coordinating Committee. The anti-war group has been around since the early 80s. It just recently held its largest ever training on just how to resist.
We offer War Tax Resistance 101 trainings. It'll cover the legal method, which would be essentially putting yourself in such a position as not to owe taxes.
The IRS tells us measuring the size and scope of this type of protest is not feasible only a month into the war. For some, it might mean pulling legal levers to lower their tax bill. For others, it goes a step further.
Essentially, we're going to strike. We're striking on taxes.
Neetu Sharma says she decided this year to stop withholding federal taxes from her paycheck.
Resisting is a privilege, and
well, that's going to land you a bill at the end of the year. So let's see what she's going to do when she gets the bill.
Everyone can resist in the same way. So having options and still being able to take action was great.
Her reason, she says, is where her tax dollars are going, even before the war with Iran started.
We were sending a lot of funding and arms to other countries, instead of taking care of the people at home.
While it's impossible to track exactly where your individual tax dollars go, last fiscal year, the Treasury says the federal government collected about half of its revenue from individual income taxes. About $900 billion went to defense, according to the Office of Management and Budget. It's the government's fifth biggest expense behind other big-ticket items like Social Security, Medicare, interest on the national debt, and other health spending. Sharma says her protest isn't about avoiding taxes altogether.
I'm still paying state taxes, and I believe state taxes are something that we should continue paying.
Are you worried at all about going to jail, potentially?
I was at a point, the IRS.
Good question.
Have the manpower to go out and, audit every single person and look at who's not paying federal taxes.
Sharma believes her approach is legal, but experts say not paying the taxes you owe is anything but.
The law does not care what your motive is for either not filing, not paying your taxes.
The IRS and legal experts
It might behoove you to listen to that, gentleman, but let's carry on.
Say avoiding your taxes could land you with a laundry list of penalties, including fees, getting your passport revoked, and in some cases, jail time.
If you were to offer any sort of legal advice to some of these protesters, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, push a candle through a paper plate and go to a vigil and sing. Don't refuse to pay your taxes. That will land you in prison.
So as this protest gains traction online, the real consequences may happen offline when taxes are due. Ali Canal, NBC News.
We thank you for.
So that's that. I'm probably not going to monitor that situation. Hey, it is what it is. Best of luck to those folks. I'm going to pay my taxes. I'm going to try to keep everything above board. And again, hey, that's our show for this week. It's been a blast. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. Support the platform. We'll see you. Peace.